Welcome. Thank you for joining us here today. I'm Yash and I lead AI products here at Box. I'm so thrilled to be joined by Dorit from ServiceNow. Dorit, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, well, thank you first for having me, Yash, and having me talk about my most exciting topic of the day. I lead product management in ServiceNow. I'm leading our AI and innovation group.
How exciting. It truly is an exciting time. Dorit, recently we did a survey from Box with our customers, and what we learned is 94% of our customers are eager at adopting AI. And at the same time, they're not realizing the full potential of AI. And as we think of these hurdles in terms of maximizing AI, usage and ROI for customers, how have you thought of guiding customers?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And we actually, in ServiceNow, we recently launched our AI maturity survey. And there's a lot of information there around how do you even pick the right use case? This is a new shift in mindset of being able to being comfortable, right, with the technology and understanding the value. I think we're seeing that the more you find a valuable use case, the easier it is, the more customers are adopting an AI strategy for their organizations, and the more they educate and reskill their talent to be more AI, and more comfortable with AI and AI terminology, the better. On the product side, we see that the more you have what we call AI plus data plus workflow, when you have all of that together, that's where you get the magic, because it's not just about single tools that you have to figure out how to bring them together. When you have a single place where you have your AI capabilities, all your data and data connections, as well as the workflows and the tools, that makes it a lot easier for our customers to adopt AI capabilities.
Yeah, I love how you spoke through it, having this single place where you have AI plus your data plus your workflows, and also complementing a little bit of the culture part of understanding the usage of AI, having the workforce to work with AI. As I go through customer conversations, I feel at Box we're also a bit of a guide to our customers as they think about AI and unstructured content, and then how do we use AI on content. And some of the things, echoing to what you said is I've been telling my customers two things. One is, find the use case, find the problem that is repetitive, boring, and what nobody wants to do. Like, find that use case, whether it's like reading the 1,000 documents and then coming up with a report. Like, what is that use case that's boring and just like prime for automation? And that's like such a key way to just start using AI. The other side of the spectrum also is, it's funny, is find the use case or find the hardest problem you've not been able to solve, right? Find the thing where you have to do a really hard analysis or something else that hasn't been solved and you've been scratching the surface of it, and see, well, with the AI technologies today, how can I solve it? So that's sort of like starting points we've been giving our customers in terms of just like, where do you start? How do you think of it? Because one of the things I do see is that when customers or companies use AI just as like I'm going to try it out and I don't have an impact I want from it, I feel like some of those initiatives don't go as far or don't fare as well.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. It's exactly the same thing we're seeing. So I'll give a few examples. We had a customer who came to us and said, we have to use AI agents. And I'm like, okay, what is the use case you want to do? And they said, well, we have, right, in ServiceNow, we manage incidents and tickets. It's like, I have a ticket coming in. I want to know when that ticket has been more than 90 days and no one looked at it. And so I need an AI agent to give me the notification. And we look at it at the customer and we say, look, ServiceNow has been able to do that for the past 20 years. It's a simple if then, and you get a notification. You don't need an AI agent for that. And so I think people are still trying to understand what is an automation versus what is an agentic automation. And that's where I feel like a lot of the enablement, we try to say to someone, if you describe to me the solution and you say, first you do one, then you do two, then you do three, that's classic automation. You don't need agentic. But if you come and you say, you do one, then you need to figure out what is the next step. That's where you get agentic. So I agree. I think there's a little bit of a misconception of what is agentic and when to apply it. And we want to be able to help customers understand you don't need, the biggest tool for the problem. Try to figure out what's the right tool for the right problem.
I love that approach. I really, really love it, because sometimes you use the wrong tool and you use AI for the wrong thing, and then it feels, oh, I didn't really get much out of it, right?
And it's very expensive.
And it's very expensive. And there are other impacts as well on that. I think, I love your where you're going with sort of these workflows, because at Box, we've been thinking about workflows as they're either deterministic, if then, just that, that workflow chart, or they're not. And you need some sort of a reasoning step or some understanding step. And that's when agents really, really can come in. And now we are even thinking of just the intersection of both, right? When you can have a workflow where you can have the deterministic step, and then you could pull in an agent to do some additional analysis that would have probably been a human or someone else in the middle of that workflow. And so we're looking at sort of combining these into this agents plus workflow, right, is the actual automation of the future. And obviously, centered on content. So that's one of the ways we're thinking about the application of agents, and thus making things more autonomous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we truly believe that it's a hybrid.
Yeah.
You cannot just have just agentic or just deterministic. It has to be both. And this is where you need the reasoning, but at the end, you want some, there are steps that you have to do that are very clear. So I'll give an example. If we have an employee and you need to onboard that employee, there could be the same 3 steps that you need to do for all employees. And that's great. You need to do that with deterministic workflows. But there could be steps that are very specific to the role, very specific to the geolocation, very specific to, the family situation of that employee. And so it requires a little bit more, there's more nuance in understanding, okay, what do I do with this specific employee? So when you bring this all together, where we have an AI agent orchestrator that is able to look across different AI agents, be able to apply these different tools, and those tools can be a deterministic, sequence of steps. That's where you get the value. That's where you get that complicated use cases in the enterprise, and it's more than just send me an email at 7 a.m.
I agree, and I think the beauty about putting deterministic, traditional workflows, adding intelligent agents that are very specific and able to do things really well as a part of it, with obviously human in the loop and making sure everything is going well. I think the best part about this is really the tailoring you can do, right? So it's, there's the general workflow that everyone's aware of, which is like, these are the 4 steps to take for a new hire onboarding. But there's so many enterprise workflows that are just not even labeled or stated, right? Like my own team having a weekly sort of meeting with what's going on in the product and what are the customers saying. I mean, that is an entire workflow that we run very manually every single week, right? And I think truly, and you never think about automating it because it's so
mundane.
So specific.
Yeah.
It has certain requirements, right? It has a certain way I want things done. It's not just a B, C, D, right? And that's so primed for the agentic future, right? Where, yes, an agent could reason and understand and make some of these decisions and help with something as specific as that too.
Yeah, completely. So I think if we look, let's say 20 years back, and you look at the evolution of automation, right? We started with script.
Oh, yeah.
And you have this if, then that, and call this tool. Then we we have RPAs, where you can actually have these, kind of scripts, but on your screen. We have conversational.
Yeah.
We had Gen AI, and now it's kind of agentic is kind of the next evolution of automation, but it's still, you require all the underlying automation capabilities to make this agentic really powerful.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. To that, I would love to hear from you, Dorit, in terms of What's next? What's your vision for autonomous agents in ServiceNow?
We do look at the next evolution kind of being that every one of us will have our own personal AI teammate. So you mentioned, right, like, I had to come here and prepare. Can I get a briefing on what is the information that I need to do? Maybe I can listen to it, on the car over here. Have something that can do my expense reports on my behalf, do a lot of those, what we call soul crushing tasks. But if we start to get into this personal AI teammate that knows who I am, what's my role, what's my goals, and what are my tasks, and be able to be proactive about it, we see that that's going to be a big aspect of the future. We're also looking at agentic workforce. So think about if you're outsourcing, right, a specific task, can you outsource it to an AI agent that is able to completely do it end to end, where you become a supervisor of that agentic workforce?
Yeah, I love that sort of like agents as augmenting you, right? Whether it's your personal or whether you're becoming the supervisor.
Right.
I think similarly, even at Box, we're really thinking of like when we think of our vision and our forward strategy with agents, right? We think of this core platform of content agents that really just help you do what you need to do with your content in a way that you've never been able to do it before. Like the mundane tasks of I need to find a piece of content, I need to read it, analyze it, and then I need to create more content should just become seamless, like a thing of the past, right? I think the next thing we're thinking about is not just agents for content, but agents that provide specific solutions where we know a lot of our customers have RFPs and sort of these, contracts that they need to manage. Well, could we build an agent that could help with some of these? And now you can use them with your other agents that you've built and optimize workflows, right? And use those in sort of these deterministic workflows. So those are ways that we're thinking of it. And then obviously the third part is exposing Box AI agents so that our customers can work across, different ecosystems like across ServiceNow and Box simply without having to switch too much because you have two agents that can, integrate and securely work together. So that's also how we're thinking of it, which is really human augmentation through agents and just making it so much easier to have more personal productivity, B, have enterprise level efficiency, and C, really fuel this ecosystem that we can work across systems of record.
Yeah, and we were very happy to have Box as a partner when we launched the ServiceNow AI Agent Fabric, and kind of have Box be a fully integrated experience between our agents, ServiceNow AI agents, and Box AI agents. And I think you mentioned the RFP generator. Like that's one of my favorite use cases because, as I'm sure you know as well, as a product leader, we get a lot of RFP and a lot of questions from the sales team. Like, can we answer this? What are we going to do? And this gonna bring in the ServiceNow intelligence with the Box intelligence. We can actually automate that. So if I'm using ServiceNow for my CRM and I can have this RFP, I can basically leverage Box AI agents to find all the information, whether it's in Box or in ServiceNow, and then once it's filled, complete the workflow within ServiceNow. And I think it's such a great use case. It's a painful one that we all know. So can we delegate that work to a team of AI agents?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I agree. We talked a bit about just where we're like excited about agents, the opportunity and sort of this, like, we're going to save time. We're going to help augment our workforce. I think at the same time, we're also seeing there's a bit of trepidation and a bit of like, oh, what does this mean from a guardrails perspective, from a security perspective? I think Gartner even cited this in one of their studies, which is like, that's going to be at the crux of AI adoption. So I'd love to see, like, how have you been thinking about it at ServiceNow as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, look, security and trust is in our DNA. As an enterprise company who serve, Fortune 500 companies, we know that it has to be secured, that we have to have our customers' trust. So a few things that we, launched as part of our agentic AI story. One is the AI Control Tower. So the ability for customers to fully govern all their AI assets. So their AI models, their AI systems, their AI agents, all the integrations, be able to have a single pane of glass to see everything around their AI and also support the whole intake process. We hear from customers, oh, we just manage everything in Excel. No, like let's really have a true governance process that can look at what are you building? Does it give value? Is it secure? What's the cost of it? Kind of really be able to manage. And, we talked earlier about the AI strategy. Have an AI strategy, but how do you manage the execution of it? So we have the AI control tower. We have our AI agent orchestrator that is able to look at AI agents and together with, our AI agent fabric talk to other agents, but security is at the core of it and really be able to adhere to any, ACLs that you have, any security policies, be able to understand that text as well. And then we have or what we call analysis guardian to really have this layer that is able to understand, do you have PII information? Is there any profanity? And be able to moderate on the fly the conversation to make sure that nothing is leaked, or you really get a clean enterprise compliant language in with ServiceNow.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is at the crux of just like where the rubber hits the road for, our customers, which is how are you securing, governing, and establishing controls around AI? And so true to Box, we've always been a security first, governance first company. And very similarly to, some of the things you said, we're also thinking very deeply about, how do we expose and how we are already exposing different types of models, right? Mm-hmm. And making sure that through our contracts, they are very secure and that no data ever leaks back into the model, right? I think another, a really important part, at least the one that what I've seen from multiple customers is everyone's in a different phase in terms of what they want to control and how they want to control it, right? So obviously Box AI is, very secure. Its permissions are tied to the content, right? So you can only use AI for the content that you have permissions to and so forth. Beyond that, I think it's also been really interesting, which is giving customers this sort of additional controls in terms of choices, right? Which is, hey, maybe you're more comfortable with one LLM provider versus another and being able to switch those out. Maybe you're comfortable with some products having AI, but some products not having AI, and giving them that flexibility to switch that out. And over time, it's a bit of they can start where they want and then develop this comfort level as they use AI, which we're securing from the get-go.
Yeah, and I think we share a similar, culture and approach.
Yeah.
Because ServiceNow is very much an open platform, right? We have our own what we call Now LLM. Mm-hmm. So if customers want to make sure that the LLM is running within their ServiceNow instance, they can choose to do that, or they can choose any of the, the Azure OpenAI, they can choose Gemini or Anthropic to be able to choose whichever model they are more comfortable with. And also they can choose which kind of what we call, analysis skills or capabilities they turn on. They don't have to turn on everything. It's not just on by default. And we have that governance process that you can choose who approves.
Yes.
Who actually gives the okay to turn it on. So yes, I think it's really about, we talk a lot about AI and machines, but at the end we have to remember that it's us, the people who use it, who need to feel comfortable with it, who need to trust it, and we are in the control.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it's, we've thought about controls in terms of just like giving our customers the kinds of controls that makes it useful for them, where they can use AI comfortably and obviously ensuring sort of that base level of security and permissions tied to their content so that it helps them adopt AI as they go through the different stages of it.
Yeah.
One of the questions I've been thinking a bit about is switching back into sort of what we're excited about in the future is there a certain type of agent capability that you're most excited about, right?
Yeah. So we have, oh my God, we're ready to choose. So I have a few. I will say, maybe I'll share the thing that most of our customers use. So think about when you have an issue, right? Anything inside your organization, and you have to pick up the phone, or you have to email someone, or send a message, and you wait. And you wait, and maybe they say something, maybe they come back, maybe it doesn't work, maybe they need to escalate. So we're able to kind of, automate the whole employee experience in making sure that we can kind of have you self-solve all your issues. So that's really, as an employee, it's really exciting. But we took it to the next level to say, even if there's something that is complicated, we can actually mine information from past experience and kind of look at everyone in the organization and what they've done and be able to come up with a resolution plan and really be able to solve that on its own. And to me, as we always talked about the swivel chair and how do you even know, like, where does the knowledge sit? Sometimes it just sits in a work note. It's not always in a knowledge article. But how do you mine that knowledge that is kind of covered somewhere and be able to make sense of it? And I think Agentic AI really allowed us to take advantage of the knowledge that is not always official, not always clean, sometimes very messy, but really make sense of it and be able to provide that to even a junior support agent and be able to make sure that they know how to solve every problem.
Oh, that's stunning in terms of just like how you're augmenting the workforce, reducing sort of this like wait time, and mining the knowledge, right? Where like it's almost like the needle in the haystack. Where is it, and how do we find it, and how do we make it available for this instant? And then how do you know it's right? It's very that's just like, I think, just the next level.
Yeah,
Super exciting.
I actually met with a customer last week, and they shared that with our platform, they were able to build a team of AI agents. So they mentioned that most of the issues, they have like compliant devices. Most of the issues are really, you just need to clear the cache of the browser. And they said, but it takes forever.
Yeah.
And it's, someone needs to go in and need to figure out, and you have to schedule time with the employee to take control over their laptop and then have to do it with them. So it's a pain. And what they were able to do is actually build a team of AI agents, with one AI agent actually verifying, is it something I can fix? And if it can fix it, actually take control over the employee laptop with their permission, obviously, clears the cache. And then they have an AI agent that verifies that the issue actually been resolved. And then my favorite, what they call, is the paperwork AI agent that can actually close the case and make sure that, the work notes are there, all the information is there, and they got the approval from the employee that the issue is working. So I was like, oh, this is such a great use case that, the agents don't have to do it, because it doesn't, not very challenging for them to do that. But also from an employee perspective, you get the help right there and then, 24/7, on vacations, whenever you need. There's something that kind of is there to help you.
No, I love that. And I love sort of your reference to this sort of team of agents, and, an area that personally I'm very excited about, and, we at Box are making a big bet around, is just structuring unstructured content, right? So if you think about content, 90% of it is unstructured. And when I say unstructured, it doesn't live in a database. You can't query it. It's you have to read it and analyze it to figure it out. And it's also multimodal, meaning it could be an image, it could be text, it could be a table, it could be audio, it could be video, right? And most of our content is actually, like, all our knowledge is in this sort of unstructured content. And so one of the agents that we're really, really excited about, we just released the enhanced one just a few weeks ago, is the enhanced extract agent, right? And so what this agent is capable of doing is looking at this unstructured content and figuring out what are the key bits of insights you need from it. And so I'll give you an example. One of our customers was running an audit, right? And they were running an audit across a bunch of leases that they, signed in the past, decade. And they were trying to figure out, are certain laws and certain like policies being part of these leases. And the way that they were handling this, I kid you not, was having their team read every single one of these leases. And the leases differ, right? One's 2 pages, one's 100 pages. One's from Wisconsin, one's from Washington. They have different legalities. There's so many differences, right? And so you have people reading each of these leases and like, oh, did a policy XYZ get met? What was the end date of the contract? And like, it's a very heavy manual process. Not only is it manual, it's so prone for inaccuracy, right? When you're reading that many leases, there's the level of you're apt to make errors, right? And so we actually used our Box AI enhanced extract agent, right? And what it could do is it could look at, okay, here are the 3 things that they want to know, or the 5 things they want to know from each of these leases. It could read all the leases and extract exactly those fields or that structure from those content, like from that content. And better yet, since it was tied to all the content in Box, now it could attach it as metadata to that document. So now you can search for it. And it was just this like amazing sort of very painful problem being, just like really improved with an agent. And I'm particularly excited about sort of this structuring unstructured or making unstructured content feel structured through this range of agents, whether it's categorizing a document, whether it's classifying a document, whether it's extracting something. And we're really excited about sort of this agentic future where not only could the agent, look at a document, but maybe later it can propose a schema, it can plan dynamically, it can provide confidence estimations of, I think the facts that I extracted are X% accurate, and then a human just has to check, right? And it could improve itself. So we're super excited about sort of this frontier of making content just easier and feel structured.
And I love the fact that you can kind of talk to the content, right?
Yeah.
So you can ask it question and it will answer back to you.
Exactly. So like being able to not only needle in the haystack, but getting that exact right thing that you want from wherever your content or whatever shape or form it may be in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where Agentic shine, right? Lots of data and making sense of it.
Exactly. This was so much fun, Dorit. Thank you for this time. I just loved talking about agents, where we're going, how guardrails are so important for this agentic adoption that we're seeing with our customers, and just the delightful use cases I think that we're both building across our companies. And I also personally love that, our agents are already starting to get integrated and work together so that it makes our customers
breaking silos. Yeah.
Yes, breaking silos. So thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed our conversation here about agents, guardrails, adoption, and what we're super excited about. For more information, don't forget to visit box.com. Thank you.